Every soul is born with two blueprints. The first is the one the world gives you, the blueprint of the good life, the safe job, the predictable path, the carefully constructed identity. You spent years building this life. It was a beautiful but fragile paper bird, and then the fire came, and it burned your paper bird to ash. Now you sit in the silence believing you have nothing left, but you have forgotten about the second blueprint, the real one, the one that is fireproof. It is the blueprint of the phoenix. It is a design for a life that is not built from paper, but forged in flames. This tragedy that has befallen you was not an accident. It was an activation. It was your own soul, finally setting fire to the false blueprint so that it could begin building the true one. What you are about to hear are the instructions that were written in invisible, fire-activated ink, the instructions for your own resurrection. Prepare to read the blueprint they never wanted you to find. Look at the ashes of your life. Look at them. Do not turn away. This ruin, this desolation, this place where everything you built has burned to the ground, you have been calling it your grave. The hidden voice in your head, the voice of despair, has been whispering the terrible final story. It is over. You have failed. This is the end. But there is a voice, deeper than despair, an ancient fiery truth encoded in your very soul. It whispers a different story. It says that the fire that consumed your life was not a tragedy. It was an initiation. It says that the ashes are not a grave. They are a nest. And it says that this is not the end. It is the beginning of the only life that has ever truly mattered. The archetype of the phoenix is calling your name, and it is calling you to rise. If you are sitting in the rubble of a life you no longer recognize, if you are ready to believe that your greatest breakdown is, in fact, your most sacred breakthrough, then take a slow, deep breath. We are not here to mourn what was lost. We are here to invoke the fire of what is to be born. Subscribe and join this resurrection, because the strength you need to rise is not something you build. It is the very fire that burned you down. Part 1. Let us begin where you are. In the ashes. Let us not rush to the rising, for the rising has no meaning without the honor of the fall. The phoenix does not fear the ashes, it understands them. Let us, together, walk through this quiet, grey landscape of your life's end. Feel the texture of this place. The air is thick with the ghost scent of smoke and loss. The ground beneath your feet is soft, uncertain, made of the fine, grey dust of what used to be. Your dreams, your identity, your certainties, all of it, burned to a fine powder. There are no landmarks here. The familiar signposts of your life, your role, your relationship, your career, are gone. You are in a vast, grey, featureless expanse, and you are utterly, terrifyingly alone. This is the ground zero of the soul, the place after the fire. The fire may have been a divorce that tore your family and your identity apart. It may have been a bankruptcy that vaporized the security you spent a lifetime building. It may have been a sudden health crisis that turned your own body into a foreign and treacherous landscape. Or it may have been a quiet, internal fire, a spiritual awakening that burned away the meaning from your old life, leaving you in a world that you no longer fit into, a stranger to everyone, especially yourself. The hidden voice of the ego, the ghost that haunts these ruins, has a story about this place. It is a story of failure, of shame. It points to the charred remnants of your past, and it whispers, "You did this. You made the wrong choices. You were not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough." And this devastation is your punishment. This is your proof. Feel the immense, crushing weight of that story. It is a shroud of shame that you have been wearing, a heavy, grey cloak that keeps you pinned to the ground, unable to even imagine rising. And then there is the voice of grief. It is a different sound. It is a hollow wind that blows across the ashes, carrying the names of all that was lost, the lost love, the lost home, the lost future you had so carefully planned, the lost version of yourself, the one who was so full of hope, so naive, so beautifully and tragically unbroken. This grief is a vast, cold ocean, and you fear that if you allow yourself to truly feel it, you will drown in its depths. And finally, there is the voice of fear, the fear of the unknown. The old world is gone, but a new one has not yet appeared. You are in the liminal space, the void between stories, and the fear is that this is it, that the ashes are the final reality, that there will be no new growth, no new life, no second act. The fear is that the fire was not a purification, but an annihilation. This landscape of ashes, of shame, of grief, of fear, this is the crucible. This is the alchemical nest. The phoenix does not fight these feelings. It does not try to think positively its way out of the ashes. It does something far more radical. It surrenders to them. It sits in the center of its own ruin, and it allows the full weight of the end to be what it is. It allows the fire to complete its work. Because the first secret of the phoenix is this: you cannot rise from the ashes until you have been willing to become the ashes. You must let the old you die completely, without reservation. You must be willing to sit in this uncomfortable, terrifying, and sacred nothingness, for it is only from the heart of this absolute zero point that the spark of the new creation can be born. Part 2. Who is this mythical creature, this phoenix, whose story resonates so deeply in the human soul? The myth appears across 1,000 cultures, in 1,000 different forms. The Bennu bird in Egypt, the firebird in Slavic folklore, the simurgh in Persia. The story is the same. It is the story of a magnificent, singular bird who lives for 1,000 years. And when its time comes, it does not die in a conventional sense. It builds a nest of the most fragrant spices, and then it ignites itself in a spectacular conflagration. From the ashes of its own funeral pyre, a new phoenix is born, young and more powerful than before. This is not just a fairy tale. It is an archetypal blueprint. It is a map of the deepest, most powerful form of transformation available to the human soul. It is the pattern of death and rebirth. Let us decode its symbolic language. First, the phoenix is singular. The myths say there is only ever one phoenix in the world at a time. This is a crucial detail. It represents your own journey of individuation. The path of the phoenix is a solitary one. You must walk into your own fire alone. No one can do it for you. It is the journey of finding your own unique, singular and sovereign self, free from the collective. Second, the phoenix chooses its own end. It is not a victim of the fire. It is not struck by lightning or killed by a predator. It knows with a deep instinctual wisdom when its cycle is over. It knows when the old form has become too rigid, too tired, too small, and it consciously, willingly, and courageously initiates its own dissolution. This is a profound shift from the victim consciousness. The fire of your life was not just a random tragedy that happened to you. On a soul level, you chose it. You called it forth because your soul knew that the only way to evolve to the next level was to burn the old level to the ground. Third, the phoenix builds a nest of fragrant spices: myrrh, frankincense, cinnamon. These are the sacred incenses, the resins used in holy rites. This is not a nest of ordinary sticks and mud. This is a sacred space. It means that the process of your ending is not a messy, chaotic breakdown. It is a sacred ritual. The phoenix gathers all of its life experiences, all of its wisdom, all of its joys, all of its sorrows, the spices of its long life, and it brings them consciously to the fire. It does not run from its past. It uses its past as the very fuel for its own transformation. Fourth, the fire is all-consuming. The phoenix is not partially burned, it is not singed, it is reduced to pure ash. This is the principle of total surrender. To be reborn, the old identity must be completely and utterly annihilated. You cannot hold on to a single secret part of your old self, a single old belief, a single old resentment. Everything must go into the fire. It is a total and complete death of the ego. And finally, from the ashes, a new phoenix is born. It is not the old phoenix, magically repaired. It is a new being. It carries the wisdom and the essence of its predecessor, but it is a new creation, with a new body, a new energy, a new potential. It is not a resuscitation, it is a resurrection. This is the blueprint. This is the archetype that is encoded within you. The human psyche has, at its core, this innate capacity for radical, total transformation. We are not designed to live a single, linear life. We are designed to live a series of lives, a series of deaths and rebirths, all within this one lifetime. The you were at 20 died to make way for the you at 40. And the you at 40 must now die to make way for the magnificent, unknown, and fiery being that is waiting to be born from the ashes of your current life. The craziness you have been feeling is the sound of the old nest beginning to catch fire. Part 3. The myth of the phoenix is beautiful, but the lived experience of it is terrifying. The period of the burning, the time in the ashes, is known in the mystical traditions as the dark night of the soul. It is the crucible, and it is the stage where many seekers turn back, believing that their pain is a sign of their failure rather than the proof of their initiation. Let us, with courage, sit within this sacred fire. Let us understand its stages, so that we do not fear its heat. The dark night begins with the loss of meaning. The things that used to bring you joy, that used to motivate you, now feel hollow and empty. Your career, your relationships, your hobbies, the entire structure that gave your life its meaning, is revealed to be a stage set. The fire of your awakening consciousness has begun to burn away the why of your old life. The hidden voice of the ego panics. I am depressed. Nothing matters anymore, but the soul is simply clearing the ground. It is burning away the false purposes to make space for the true one. Then comes the loss of identity. You look in the mirror, and you do not recognize the person looking back at you. The roles you used to play, the mother, the executive, the good person, no longer fit. You feel like a stranger in your own life. This is the stage where the ego structure itself is being consumed by the flames. It is a period of profound disorientation. You do not know who you are anymore. This is not a psychological crisis. It is a metaphysical stripping away. You are being uncreated. Next comes the feeling of divine abandonment. You may have had a spiritual practice for years. You may have felt a connection to God, to the universe. But in the dark night, that connection seems to be severed. Your prayers feel like they are hitting a lead ceiling. Your meditations are empty. The universe, which once felt so communicative, falls silent. This is the most painful stage of all. It is the phoenix in the heart of the fire, feeling utterly and completely alone. The ego interprets this as punishment, as proof that God has forsaken you. But the mystics tell us this is a profound test of faith. The guide steps back so that you can learn to generate your own light in the heart of the absolute darkness. It is the final stage of your spiritual maturation. And finally, there is the confrontation with your deepest, darkest shadow. The fire burns away all your defenses, all your repressions, and everything you have hidden in your psychic basement comes roaring to the surface. Your deepest fears, your most profound rage, your most secret shames. The fire is not just burning your persona, it is purifying your soul. It is bringing all the unhealed, unintegrated parts of you into the light to be transmuted. This can feel like you are going insane. You are not. You are becoming whole. in the most intense and alchemical way possible. If you are in this space now, I want you to know three things. First, you are not alone. Every great saint, sage, and mystic in history has walked through this same fire. This is not a detour from the path, this is the path. Second, do not resist the fire. Your ego will want to escape, to numb the pain, to find a distraction. This is the most dangerous thing you can do. To resist the fire is to prolong the burning. The only way out is through. You must be willing to sit in the heart of the flames, to let it burn away everything that is not your true, indestructible self. You must surrender. Third, the fire is intelligent. It is not a blind, destructive force. It is the fire of divine love. It is the fire of the Holy Spirit, and it will only burn away that which is false. It will only burn away the parts of you that are not worthy of your true, magnificent self. It will not and cannot harm the gold. It is only purifying it. Your only job is to trust the alchemy of the flames. Part 4. This archetypal pattern of death and rebirth is not a niche pagan myth. It is the hidden, esoteric heart of the Christian story itself. The life of Jesus, when understood not as a literal historical biography, but as a symbolic archetypal map for the soul's journey, is a perfect depiction of the Phoenix process. His ministry was the gathering of the spices, the wisdom, the love, the experiences of his life. His arrest, his trial, his crucifixion, this was his dark night of the soul. This was his sacred fire. Think of his moment in the Garden of Gethsemane, the night before his arrest. He is in agony. He sweats blood. He prays to his Father, "Let this cup pass from me." This is the human ego, facing the terror of its own impending annihilation, begging for an escape. But then he surrenders. "Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done." This is the moment the phoenix willingly steps onto the pyre. On the cross he cries out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" This is the peak of the dark night, the feeling of divine abandonment, the moment when the soul feels utterly, completely alone in the fire, and his final words, "It is finished," are the declaration that the old self, the old contract, is complete. The fire has done its work. The ego identity of Jesus of Nazareth is dead. He has been reduced to ash. And then what happens? After 3 days in the tomb, the period of sitting in the ashes, the sacred void, there is the resurrection. A new body is born, not the old physical body patched up and repaired. The scriptures describe it as a body of light, a glorified body. A body that can appear and disappear, that can pass through locked doors. It is the body of the reborn phoenix, a body that operates by a new and higher set of laws. The great apostle Saint Paul, a true mystic, understood this on a profound level. His entire theology was based on this phoenix principle. He wrote, "I die daily." He was not speaking of a physical death. He was speaking of the daily conscious practice of dying to the ego, to the old man, so that the new man, the Christ consciousness, could live through him. He wrote to the Romans, "For if we have been united with him in a death like his, we will certainly also be united with him in a resurrection like his." This is not a promise about a future event after you physically die. It is a formula for alchemical transformation right now. To be baptized into Christ was, for Paul, to be willingly immersed in the fire of transformation, to die to your old separate self. The modern church, in its fear of this radical mystical process, has externalized the story. It has made the crucifixion and resurrection a unique, one-time historical event that happened to Jesus, an event that we are saved by through our belief in it. But the lost esoteric teaching, the teaching that was suppressed because it was so empowering, is that the story of Jesus is not a story to be believed. It is a story to be emulated. It is a map, a blueprint for your own phoenix process. You too must have your Gethsemane. You too must face your own crucifixion, the death of your ego. You too must endure the silence of the tomb, and you too are destined for your own glorious resurrection, your own rebirth into a new, light-filled and liberated state of being. The story of the Phoenix is not a pagan myth that stands in opposition to the Christian story. The story of the Phoenix is the esoteric heart of the Christian story. Part 5. You are in the ashes. The world is grey, the heart is heavy, the hope is gone. And in this space, the hidden voice of despair is the only sound you can hear. It is a relentless, convincing and seductive voice. It tells you to give up, to stay down, to accept that this is the end. But now we are going to perform a sacred act of defiance. We are going to listen for a different sound. We are going to look for a different light. We are going to search for the first faint and undeniable proof of the resurrection. We are going to look for the spark. The spark is the first sign of the new life. It is the first movement of the phoenix, stirring in its nest of ashes. It is not a big flame. It is tiny. It is subtle, and you will miss it if you are still listening to the loud voice of your grief and your shame. This is the moment of the great turning, the shift from mourning what is dead to nurturing what is being born. It is the most courageous and most important choice a soul can make. If you are ready to make that choice, to turn your gaze away from the rubble of your past and to begin searching for the spark of your future, then I invite you to declare this shift. Click the like button. Let it be a conscious act of hope, a signal to the universe and to your own soul that you are no longer a victim of the fire, but a seeker of the spark. Now, let us become spark hunters. I want you to sit quietly in the midst of your own personal ashes, and I want you to look and listen for the smallest, most subtle signs of life. The spark of curiosity. For weeks, for months, for years, you may have felt nothing but apathy, a total lack of interest in the world. But then one day you feel a tiny flicker. You see a book, you hear a song, you have a conversation, and for the first time in a long time you feel a small, gentle pull of curiosity. That's interesting. Do not dismiss this. This is a spark. It is the mind of the new phoenix beginning to awaken and to look for its first meal. Your job is not to understand it. Your job is to simply follow it. Read the book. Listen to the song. Nurture the spark of your own curiosity, the spark of resonance. You are going about your grey, meaningless day. And then you see something, and your heart, which you thought was dead, gives a faint, almost imperceptible thump of recognition. It could be a moment of natural beauty, a sunset, a bird in flight. It could be an act of kindness between strangers. It is a moment that feels for a second like a note of a long-forgotten song. It is a moment of resonance. It is your soul recognizing a piece of its own lost beauty, reflected in the outer world. Do not let this moment pass. Stop. Breathe it in. Let that feeling of resonance, however small, be a drop of water on the dry soil of your heart. The spark of a no. Do you have been living in a state of passive surrender to everything? You have had no energy to fight, no will to resist. But then, one day, someone crosses a boundary, asks too much, and from a place you did not know you had, a quiet, firm, and unshakable no rises up. It is not an angry no. It is a no of profound, self-honoring clarity. This no is a spark of immense power. It is the sound of your sovereign warrior, reawakening to guard the perimeter of your new sacred ground. Honor this no. It is the first stone being laid in the foundation of your new self, the spark of a new dream. In the midst of the ashes, a new thought appears, a new image of a possible future. It may seem impossibly distant and unrealistic. A dream of a new home, a new kind of work, a new way of being. The hidden voice will immediately try to extinguish it. That's ridiculous. How could you possibly do that now? But this new dream is not a fantasy of the ego. It is a memory of the future. It is a seed packet that has survived the fire. It is a blueprint sent from your soul for the new life that is to be built. Your job is not to figure out how. Your job is to simply hold the image, to protect this tiny, fragile spark from the winds of your own doubt. These sparks are the proof. The resurrection is not a single dramatic event. It is a slow, quiet, and tender process of nurturing these first, fragile signs of a new life. Your work now is to become a sacred guardian of the spark, to notice it, to honor it, to feed it with your attention, and to protect it with all the strength you have. For this tiny spark contains, in its holographic code, the entire, magnificent, and fiery being that you are about to become. Part 6. The phoenix has felt the spark. It has nurtured the flame. It has slowly, from the very substance of the ashes and the fire, begun to weave a new body for itself. A body of light, of experience, of wisdom. And now comes the moment that all of its transformation has been leading to, the moment of the first flight. The first flight is the act of bringing your new reborn self into the world. It is the moment you stop healing in private and you begin living in public as the new you. This is a moment of immense vulnerability and of immense power. For a long time, you have been in the nest of your own ashes. It has been a painful place, but it has also been a safe one, a hiding place. No one expects anything from the one who is broken. There is a strange freedom in being at rock bottom, but now you have a new strength, a new clarity, and the nest is beginning to feel cramped. Your new wings are beginning to feel restless. The soul is calling you to take a leap of faith, to leave the safety of the known ruin and to launch yourself into the unknown air of a new life. What does this first flight look like in practical terms? It is a conscious, symbolic and powerful action that declares to the universe, the old me is dead, the new me is here. It might be the act of changing your name, either legally or simply adopting a new soul name that reflects your new identity. It might be the act of leaving the job that represents your old, compromised self, even if you don't have a new one lined up. It might be the act of moving to a new city, a place that has no connection to the memories and the ghosts of your past life. It might be the act of speaking your truth to your family, finally and unapologetically, about who you are and what you believe, and being willing to release your attachment to their approval. It might be the act of launching the creative project, the book, the business that represents the mission of your new self. The specific action does not matter. What matters is the energy behind it. It must be an action that feels both terrifying and exhilarating. It must be an action that represents an irreversible break with the past. It is the phoenix pushing off from the edge of the nest. And in that moment of launching, in that terrifying gap between the ground and the air, the hidden voice of your deepest fear will scream its final, loudest warning. You're not ready. You will fall. You will be humiliated. Go back to the safety of the ashes. This is the final test of the warrior, the final exam of the phoenix. Can you hear that voice of fear and leap anyway? Can you trust the new wings that you have grown in the dark? Can you trust that the air will hold you? And here is the secret of the first flight. The first flap of the wings is the hardest. It takes an immense amount of will and courage. But once you are airborne, you discover something miraculous. You discover that you have not just grown wings. You have learned to ride the thermals of grace. The universe, which seemed so silent during your dark night, now rushes in to support you. A synchronicity appears. The perfect opportunity lands in your lap. A new ally shows up out of nowhere. You are not flying by your own power alone. You are being lifted. You are being carried by the intelligent, loving, and supportive currents of a universe that is celebrating your rebirth. You have passed the test. You have proven that you are willing to trust life, and now life proves that it is worthy of your trust. You are no longer the caterpillar crawling on the ground. You are no longer the goo in the chrysalis. You are the butterfly. You are the firebird, and the entire wide-open, limitless sky is your new home. Part 7. As you begin to soar in your new life, as you begin to embody the strength and the beauty of the reborn phoenix, there is a subtle temptation. It is the temptation to forget the fire, to hide the scars, to present yourself to the world as a perfect, pristine, and unbroken being. It is the ego's attempt to create a new, enlightened persona. But the true phoenix does not hide its history. It wears its scars as its most beautiful adornment. It understands the Japanese art of kintsugi. Kintsugi is the art of repairing broken pottery with lacquer that is mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. The philosophy behind it is that the breakage and repair are part of the history of an object, rather than something to disguise. The cracks are not hidden, they are illuminated, they are made beautiful. The piece is more beautiful for having been broken. This is the wisdom of the integrated phoenix. Your breakdown, your journey through the fire, is not a shameful secret to be hidden in your past. It is the source of your greatest beauty, your greatest strength, and your greatest wisdom. Your scars are veins of gold. How does this manifest in your new life? It manifests as profound compassion. You can sit with another person in their own dark night, and you are not afraid. You do not offer them shallow platitudes or positive thinking. You offer them the powerful silent presence of someone who has been in that same fire and has survived. Your own healed wounds become the medicine for the wounds of others. It manifests as unshakable resilience. The small dramas and crises of the world no longer have the power to shatter you. You have been through the ultimate fire. You have faced the annihilation of your own self. What is there left to fear? You have a quiet, deep, and humble confidence that you can face anything life throws at you, because you know, on a cellular level, that you have the power to be reborn from any ending. It manifests as true authenticity. You are no longer trying to present a perfect, polished image to the world. You are willing to be seen in your glorious, messy, and beautiful wholeness. You can speak of your failures without shame. You can show your vulnerability without fear. And this authenticity is a magnetic force. People are not drawn to your perfection. They are drawn to your realness. They are drawn to the golden light that is shining from your own healed cracks. The hidden voice of the spiritual ego may want you to become a guru on a pedestal, but the soul of the phoenix knows that your true power is in your humanity. It is in the story of your own beautiful, necessary, and sacred brokenness, so do not hide your scars. Do not cover your ashes with a layer of spiritual glitter. Honor the fire, honor the breaking, honor the journey. For you are a piece of living kintsugi, and you are more beautiful, not in spite of your breaking, but because of it. Part 8. The journey of the phoenix does not end with its own resurrection. That is only the first half of the story. The second and most important half is the return. The phoenix rises from the fire not just for its own sake, but to become a source of light and warmth for the world. In the ancient myths, the phoenix is a symbol of the sun. It is a creature of immense creative and healing power. Its tears are said to be able to heal any wound. Its song is so beautiful that it inspires courage in the pure of heart and strikes terror in the hearts of the impure. This is your new mission. Having passed through your own personal hell, you are now equipped to be a firebringer, a light bearer, a source of hope and courage for a world that is shivering in the cold darkness of fear. This is the final integration of the warrior archetype and the phoenix archetype. The warrior knows how to fight for the light. The phoenix is the light. How do you bring this fire to the world? You do it, first and foremost, by the simple, radiant fact of your own being. Your presence, which is now tempered with the wisdom of the fire and the strength of the rebirth, is a powerful transmission. You walk into a room, and your quiet, centered, and fearless energy can calm a storm, can inspire hope, can remind others of their own forgotten strength, all without you saying a single word. You do it by speaking your story, not as a story of victimhood, but as a story of alchemy. You learn to tell the story of your own fire, of your own journey through the ashes, with a clarity and a compassion that turns your personal tragedy into a universal myth. Your story becomes a map for others who are lost in their own dark night. It becomes a permission slip for them to honor their own breaking. You do it by becoming a sacred mirror. Because you have faced your own deepest darkness, you are not afraid of the darkness in others. You can look at someone in the depths of their own shame, their own rage, their own despair, and you do not flinch. You do not judge. You simply hold a steady, loving gaze that says, "I see you. I am not afraid. And I know the magnificent, fiery being that you are, even if you have forgotten." In your gaze, they can catch a glimpse of their own potential for rebirth, and you do it by becoming a destroyer of old worlds. The phoenix is not a gentle, comforting energy. It is a revolutionary one. Your very existence, as one who has died to the old paradigm and has been reborn into a new one, is a threat to the illusions of the world. Your authenticity burns away the falseness in others. Your courage exposes their cowardice. Your freedom highlights their chains. You do not do this with aggression. You do it simply by being your true, fiery self. You become a force of creative destruction, a loving catalyst who helps to burn away the old, dead structures of the world to make way for the new. This is your sacred responsibility. You have been given the gift of the fire. You have been allowed to pass through the ultimate initiation. You do not now get to keep that fire for yourself. You are a torch, and your purpose is to go into the darkest corners of the world and to set them with love ablaze. Part 9. And now, we zoom out to the widest possible perspective. We have explored the journey of the phoenix as a metaphor for the profound transformations within a single human lifetime. But the archetype points to an even deeper, more cosmic truth. A truth that, once grasped, dissolves the very concept of a final ending. The phoenix lives for 1,000 years, and then it is reborn. This cycle is eternal. It is the very rhythm of the cosmos itself. The universe itself is a phoenix. The scientists speak of the Big Bang, a moment of fiery creation from a single point, and some theories speak of a Big Crunch, a moment when the universe will cease its expansion and collapse back into that single point, only to be reborn in another Big Bang, a cosmic death and rebirth. The stars are phoenixes. They are born from clouds of dust and gas. They burn for billions of years, and then they die in spectacular supernova explosions, scattering their stardust across the cosmos, which then becomes the raw material for new stars, new planets, new life. The Earth is a phoenix. It has passed through cycles of ice ages and volcanic fire. It has seen mass extinctions and explosive new beginnings. Life is constantly dying and being reborn in new, more complex and more beautiful forms. And you, your soul, your eternal consciousness, you are a phoenix. This one lifetime, this one journey through the ashes, is but a single cycle in your soul's immortal existence. You have done this before in other lives on other worlds, and you will do it again. Each time you are gathering more wisdom, more love, more strength. Each time you are reborn as a more magnificent, more luminous, and more godlike being. The fear of death, which is the ultimate fire for the ego, is, from this perspective, seen for the illusion that it is. There is no final death. There is only transformation. There is only the eternal, fiery and glorious cycle of the phoenix, dying and being reborn forever and ever. When you know this, not as a belief but as a deep cellular certainty, the very nature of your fear changes. You are no longer afraid of the fire. You are no longer afraid of the ending. Because you know that every ending is a sacred and necessary prelude to a new and more magnificent beginning. You know that the fire is not your enemy, it is your chariot. It is the very engine of your own divine evolution. You can finally relax. You can finally trust the process of your own life and your own death. You are an immortal firebird, engaged in an eternal dance of becoming, and the fire is your greatest ally. Part 10. And so we arrive at the final incandescent truth, the truth that lies at the very heart of the Phoenix's fire. We began this journey in the ashes, feeling like the victim of a fire that had destroyed us. We have journeyed to understand the blueprint of the Phoenix, to see ourselves as the one who willingly enters the fire. We have learned to see the fire as our initiator, our purifier, our path to rebirth. But the final epiphany, the one that transmutes the very last remnant of fear into pure power, is this. You are not the one who is in the fire. You are the fire of transformation, the fire of purification, the fire of divine love. That is not something that happens to you. It is what you are, at the very core of your being. You are not a physical being who is having a temporary spiritual experience of burning and rebirth. You are a being of pure, eternal, creative fire who is having a temporary experience of being in a physical form. The entire journey of the Phoenix is the process of the fire remembering itself. The old you, the personality, the ego, the life that burned down. That was the nest. That was the fuel. It was the temporary structure that the fire of your own consciousness created and then consumed in order to liberate itself into a new and higher expression. The new you, the reborn Phoenix, is simply a more authentic, more transparent, and more powerful embodiment of the fire that you have always been. This is the ultimate shift in identity. You are not the bird, you are the flame. And when you know this, what is there to fear? Can fire be harmed by fire? Can the flame be destroyed by the flame? No. It can only be made greater, hotter, more brilliant. The challenges of your life, the fires that you face, they are no longer threats. They are opportunities for you to recognize your own fiery nature. When you face a loss, a heartbreak, a failure, you are not being destroyed. You, the fire of consciousness, are simply consuming a particular form, a particular experience, and transmuting its energy into greater wisdom and greater love. You are a walking, talking, breathing funeral pyre and a perpetual act of creation. You are the destroyer and the creator. You are Shiva. You are the Phoenix. This is your ultimate power. The power to be unharmed by any experience because you know that all experience is simply fuel for your own eternal flame. The power to face any darkness because you know that you are the light that consumes all darkness. The hidden voice of fear is the voice of the kindling, afraid of the spark. But you are not the kindling. You are the spark. You are the flame. You are the fire. And you were born to burn. The fire is not your end. It is your origin, and it is your destiny. You are the resurrection and the life. If this journey has helped you to remember the fire within, subscribe and continue to walk this path of glorious, fearless, and eternal rebirth with us. The ashes were a cradle. Now it is time to soar.